Hi, I'm Brian Russell. Welcome back to class. Today I want to talk about how to use secondary resources to improve your interpretation. Again, the way that we teach method at Asbury Seminary, interpretation always starts with your own work. If you're taking an inductive Bible study class, you'll do all of the steps of inductive Bible study around interpretation before moving to commentaries or any other kind of secondary literature. If you're in an exegesis course, it's exactly the same steps. Do your own work first. The better handle that you have on a passage, and what I mean by that, you want to always do a close reading of the text first. You want to check out and do an intensive first-hand study of the immediate context of the passage, have a basic idea of how the text fits into the overall flow of the book that you're interpreting. You need to have raised a series of questions. In particular, you want to ask questions and notice places, say, where English translations don't say the same thing. You want to notice what are particularly difficult parts of the text are. In other words, what are the parts of the text that are confusing to you, that you don't have a sense that you have a handle on. And you also want to identify keywords. Now, once you've done that, you basically have a research agenda, and then you know the types of secondary resources that you are going to want to look at. And as a rule of thumb, you always want to use the best available resources. Now, as a warning, if you simply jump to Dr. Google or one of the internet search engines, you're typically going to find, especially on the first pages, an array of online resources that may look like they're new because the web pages may be dated new, but are generally really old public domain resources. Again, at the time they may have been good, but you want, as a person serving, I'm shooting this video in 2026, but as a person shooting in the early middle part of the 21st century, you want to use up-to-date, the best available scholarly resources. Now, there's a great book that was published in 2023 by one of my mentors. He's still the dean of the School of Biblical Interpretation at Asbury, Essential Guide to Biblical Resources for Ministry. Again, this is a book about which books to buy, and essentially you can go through here. So, like, for example, in Exodus, I can go to the section, every biblical book has its own section. I can go to the section on Exodus, and Dr. Bauer lays out a series of what he says are the best commentaries. Now, I can just tell you, I've bought most of the books that I have in my library based on Bauer's recommendations. So this is a top resource. So when you know you're going to be preaching or teaching through a particular biblical book, pull this out and then read through the entries and buy a couple of the best available commentaries. So you simply build your library by buying the best available commentaries. Now, there's other types of secondary resources that you can purchase as well. You can also get theological word books, a good Bible atlas. Bauer covers all those things. A good Bible dictionary. Those are some of the tools that you're going to want to have in your toolbox long term. If you're a student at Asbury, or while you're a student at Asbury, I encourage you to learn how to use the online databases through B.L. Fisher Library, and which opens up an entire world of top-notch scholarly articles on biblical research. I have another video that will show you how to do that. So you want to find the best available resources. And then what do you do with those resources? Well, again, if you've done your own work, you know the parts of the text that you want to investigate. So if it's a commentary, read through as much of that commentary as you can on the section that you're studying, but pay careful attention and focused attention on the parts of the text that you know that you need help with, or on the parts of the text that you're unsure about from your own work. And what you want to do And now, by the way, since you've done your own work, you come to the commentary or the article or the resource as a colleague, not as somebody who literally knows nothing about the passage, who's just going to take whatever the commentator says at face value. You can come and have a dialogue. And that's what you want to do. So when you're using a resource, take some notes. And what you're going to notice is sometimes the commentator will essentially affirm what you found, or maybe they won't even say anything about what you found. Sometimes you'll get a nuance. The commentator will show you something that you didn't see, and you can evaluate it based on the evidence that you've already gathered. And then sometimes the commentator may completely disagree with what you said. So that's what you want to look for. How does this resource affirm? How does it nuance? How does it disagree? And again, you put evidence together and you make a decision. So again, just because the commentator disagrees doesn't necessarily mean that you're incorrect. And so you want to then weigh evidence. And again, you want to use multiple resources. As a rule of thumb, you want to use at least 2 really good commentaries when you're doing a piece of interpretation. But I would also say you should add in a third scholarly commentary or even a scholarly article. But again, just kind of write up your findings, and you don't have to take exhaustive notes on the commentary. You just want to notice, especially those places where it adds nuance or there's a disagreement. So you have that information in your notes as you're, again, preparing for teaching or preaching or writing an exegesis paper. So that's how you use scholarly resources. And again, I highly recommend Bauer's Essential Guide to Biblical Resources for Ministry. Until next time, live by faith, be known by love, and be a voice of hope to others.